should I call it Microsoft Excel section? But we're having we're going a little bit different today. So for today's topic, we'll be having what do recruiters look for? And our special guests are Success Ukoha and also Emmanuel Samuel. So as you all know, this session is brought to you by UrBizEdge. I'll just give a brief description about our company, UrBizEdge. So UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft Excel consulting, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and enterprise solution firm in Nigeria. We specialize in helping companies and high-value professionals be on top of the business data. We're also the developer of some financial tools which you can also find on Excel and Power BI, such as Nigerian Finance Market Analysis Tool, which is available on Microsoft Store. We're also the developer of Nigerian Stock Analysis Dashboard, which you can also find in Power BI and other services. As you all know, so we're also a training company in Lagos, Nigeria. We also have offices in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos. So on the 9th of August, we'll be having Python for data analysis. On the 12th of August, we're having big data analysis, Power Query, Power Pivot, and VBA. So that's for some of you that are into Visual Basic Application in Excel. Also on this 18th of August, we'll be having business intelligence and dashboard using Microsoft Power BI. That's for some of you that are going to BI and business intelligence using Power BI. So I'll just give a brief description of our special guest. So I'll start with Emmanuel Samuel. So he's an HR professional in the tech space who has experience in contributing to recruitment of various roles, including junior roles, managerial roles, and C-suite roles, also technical roles, and so on. He has worked both in in-house recruitment and also in recruitment itself. Emmanuel generally loves open job interview. Okay, Emmanuel generally loves having job interview conversation, either as an interviewer or as a candidate. He holds an MBA in human resource management from OAU, that's the Great Ife. Also, our other speaker for today, Success Ukoha. Success is realistic who believes in empowering humanity by providing enabling opportunity and assistance for you to be able to achieve your life purpose. A professional in HR resource personnel, employee relation experts, and also an HR operational specialist with over 4 years in distinguished performance in full cycle recruitment at all levels across multiple industry and also multinationals. He's also a graduate of the prestigious University of Nigeria. He's also a certified CV Pro consultant and also a LinkedIn optimized specialist. So with no further ado, I'll hand over the section to our two special guests. So I'll start sharing my screen right about now. Okay, so this is how it's going to be now, right? Success and Emmanuel, you guys can just tell us how you start your own journey as an HR and also what recruiters are looking for. So as the session is going, I'll be asking you a question. If anyone has any question, you can just drop your question in the chat box and I'll also be asking. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll off my camera now and I'll hand over the section to you guys. So Success and Emmanuel.
All right, thank you so much. Good to have me.
You're welcome. So if you have any questions, so Success, can you just tell us, you said so the idea of the whole program today was what recruiters are actually looking for, right? So let's imagine I'm a young graduate, right? I'm a young graduate and I'm going to the field of tech today. So what are the things do you think that can land me a job in the top 4 companies in Nigeria or the top 10 tech companies in Nigeria? What are the things you think recruiters will want to hear or see in my CV or see in my portfolio?
All right, thank you so much for that question. So I'll start by saying recruiters are looking for applicants who understand how job acquisition works. All right. So thereby saying that's the basics. So our nightmare as a recruiter starts from an applicant sending in unqualified application, because as a person, your CV is you. So whichever way you send it matters. You get. So before we can have maybe a link or a chance to review your CV, the way you present it matters and the way you send in your application. So the recruiter's nightmare or application nightmare starts by applicants knowing how job acquisition works. So when I mean how job acquisition works, knowing how to apply for a job, knowing how to send in your application. So if you tend to come in contact with this, that is when your CV now start counting. All right. So recruiters are also looking for an applicant that have a good marketing tool. So when I mean marketing tool, I mean a professional CV that is well tailored and ATS compliant. ATS is applicant tracking system, which you know. Okay, so a recruiter is also looking for an applicant with a good and professional cover letter. Right. So when I mean applicants, don't get me wrong, I mean the CV itself of the applicant, because both of them can be used interchangeably. Right. So a recruiter is also looking for an applicant who has professional LinkedIn profile, because recruiters are everywhere on LinkedIn looking for people, applicants that have professional LinkedIn profile that is well tailored, well optimized, well represented, that is people driven to. Okay. So in the CV, in an applicant CV, that's also what a recruiter is looking out for during recruitment. So you look at the layout or the structure of your CV, all right? Because there's a way that your CV can be structured. It won't be ATS compliant. You look at your hierarchy. You look at for your skills. You look at for your achievements. You look out for your location. You look at for your education. Because in every application, there is a specified guideline, all right, that should be followed. So he's looking at for if an applicant really followed the instruction. So when an applicant knowing how job acquisition works by applying for a job rightly, or knowing how to send the application by following instruction. So a proof that an applicant knows how job acquisition works is when he knows how to apply for a job through sending in or following instruction while applying for a job. So you get it now.
Yeah.
Hello, are you with me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
So you could want to see the brief summary, like we are reading my profile now, a brief summary of what the person is made of, or a brief summary of what the person is made of. Right? So a recruiter is also looking out for the person's skill, if the person has the right skill to deliver the job and deliver organizational results, be it soft skill or be it managerial skill, ranging from your core management skill and all. So a recruiter is also looking for your location and proximity. So there are some roles that you cannot be hired because you are not close to the position where they are recruiting for. All right. So
Yeah.
a recruiter is also looking out for your achievements. There is a way you tailor your achievements in your CV. Like for example, now if you're a salesperson, there's some way you tailor down your achievements. For example, a salesperson might maybe improve sales. So you don't just tell us that you've improved sales. You tell us, you include how you executed sales, how you improve it, the percentage of sales you improve. Maybe if you have also reduced sales, tell us and also let us know that how you reduce sales and minimize cost. All right. So maybe for an accounting role, a recruiter wants to know if you have knowledge of every accounting software. So you must highlight it on your CV. That will give you an added advantage. So a recruiter is also looking out for your other certification. For example, now everybody has BSc, everybody has HND, everybody has OND. All right. So, and for example, if I'm meant to recruit for an accounting role with an accounting role for an organization, then if peradventure two applicants have the required experience, what I will start looking for is their skill, one, and other certification that they've taken. So this shows that they are learning and they are willing to improve in their career path. You get?
Yeah.
So I think I'll stop there for now.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Emmanuel, do you have anything you want to add to that? Hey, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome, great. So, first, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I do not take this for granted. Thank you so much. Success, thank you so much for the brilliant nuggets that you've pointed out already. So, I'm just going to say one or two things to add to what you said, and also to every single person on the call. Thank you so much for joining. It really shows that you have a commitment towards your career growth and all. So it's so good to have you guys here. And then there was one thing that lost this afternoon. Sorry, guys. Shout out to you guys. So sorry. I'm not throwing shade, but
It's
sorry,
enough. Let's
guys.
go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm
sorry,
not in
sorry,
a,
sorry, sir.
I'm not in
Sorry.
a good mood. Let's go, please.
Sorry. So yeah. So yeah. So to add to what success said already, I'll be speaking from two parts. So first, what do recruiters look out for in your CV? Then what do recruiters look out for when they're having a conversation with you when you are in the interview? So success has mentioned so many important things in the CV. I think I'll just add two things also around what is mentioned. First is your the content in your CV should be relevant, especially to the role you're applying for. Right. So talking about the work experiences, talking about in fact starting from your profile, right? Not even your profile, personal information, things as minute as personal information. So what do I mean by that? Let me give examples. So take for instance personal information like religion. You don't necessarily have to include this in your CV for every application, right? Or your age, for instance, right? So probably you're applying for a graduate trainee role that says, okay, this person shouldn't be older than 26. You can include your age by all means. You can include your age there. But then when you're applying for a role where you don't have any such, you're not required, they didn't state anything about your age, they didn't state anything about your religion, you don't need to put all of those information. You stick with relevant information, right? Because in fact, apart from the fact that those information will take up space, secondly, they can even create a bias. Because the fact is not all recruiters are bias proof in quotes. Not everyone has been able to train their psychology to look away from some bias, right? Some people see maybe your age as maybe say 34 and they want someone in quote vibrant. They feel this person that's 34 years old, can this person be vibrant? And that's their own thinking, right? Which is of course wrong, but then you don't want to be at the end, you don't want to be at the receiving end of that bias that they have. So you just want to steer clear of things like that, right? So just include relevant information. Talking about your profile, talking about your work experience. I advise that you make your relevant work experiences come up first, right? So, for instance, you're applying for an accounting role, and you know how this country is. Sometimes you have done accounting, you taught at the point you were a teacher at the secondary school at the point because there was no job and everything, right? And in fact, it could be that you are currently even teaching, right? But then you've done accounting before and you're applying for an accounting role. I will advise that instead of you putting the teaching role as first, because that's your current role, I advise that you put your accounting role as first, right? And then you can put the teaching role as next and other roles, right? Because most times recruiters will receive tons and tons of applications, right? And once they just see your CV and like maybe the first page and they're just saying teacher, they might not even have the patience to just go through other things where you now actually included the relevant role, the relevant work experience. They might have just seen this one a teacher, they apply for, they will just come out and go to the next CV, right? When actually you have the required experience and you're even able to do the job, right? So stick with relevant information. The courses you've done nowadays, courses are like water. They're like sand. You can do 100 courses. Pardon my exaggeration. 100 courses in a week, right? Because you have tons and tons of free courses, right? So it's possible that you've done so many courses, maybe not everything are related, right? But then when you're applying for a role, it's advisable that you stick with those certifications and courses that are relevant to what you're applying for. So that's the first point. Relevance, your content should be relevant to what you're applying for. That is one. Secondly, your CV should be value driven. Everything you write, especially your work experience section, your duties, let them be value driven, include achievement. Success mentioned that, include achievement. Let it show that you are someone who is bringing value to the table, because that is what will really, really stand you out. Every single person will likely have the same information on their CV. So the question is, what is going to stand you out? And that is the value that you can bring to the table. That's the special thing that you are bringing to the table. I tell you, I've reviewed CVs. I've reviewed quite a number of CVs. I've created quite a number of CVs from old CVs, and I tell you that it's just 1 out of 10 CVs that have achievements in them. At least from this conversation now, those of us that were here, if I ask now that how many of us have achievements in our CVs, it's just like a few of us. You can drop it. Let me run a test. You can drop it in the chat section or just unmute and speak if you have achievements written in your CV, in your work experience. If you outlined the various achievements you recorded in your past roles, please, you can unmute, identify yourself, or drop it in the chat. I just want to run like a test. Tell me that you do, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you have let me just okay, so, right. Okay, if you have any achievement, if you want to speak, you can also raise your hands up, or you can put in the chat box that you have or not. Well, I like the way I like the approach. I like the approach. Anyone?
I won't be surprised if we just have a few people.
Okay, but no, I have mine though.
Oh, awesome. So that just buttresses the point I'm trying to raise, right? It's just a few people that have things like that in their CVs, right? And these are things that stand you out, right? So that's two. Let me just go to the next thing, because success has really spoken about this. Secondly, during the interview itself. So typically, right, interview sessions are divided. Typically, various organizations have various practices, right? So interview sessions typically are divided into your technical interview, your culture fit interview, and maybe the executive interviews when you meet with management and all of that. I will speak essentially about on technical and the culture fit interviews, right? So what a recruiter most times will look for around these two interviews. The first one, of course, is your ability to do the job, right? That's a given, right? Your ability to do the job. How can you convince us that you've done this before? Probably, if it's an experienced hire, or if it's maybe an experienced hire or a new or an entry level role, how can you convince us that you are able to do the job? So, what are the skill sets you have? What have you done before? What are the software you worked with? What are the achievements you recorded where you were working before? So those are the kind of things that you should state. Drive the conversation. It's very, very important that you drive the conversation. Focus on your strength, right? Because most times I don't know, at least from my experience, from the experience of people that I've worked with, right, as an HR person, most times we interviewers, we don't have these questions just outlined like, okay, from this question you jump to this question. In fact, it's not even professional for an HR person to just go to Google and just get generic questions and all of that. Most times you get questions from the conversation that we are currently having, from the points that you have raised. So it is always very wise when you bring out your strong points, when you bring out your strengths, those things that you're able to do well, because there is every 90% chance that the recruiter will stay on around those points and ask you questions around those points. So stay on your strong points. Speak about the software you're able to use very well. Speak about the experiences that you're good at, the duties that you are good at, the achievements you recorded. Play around those areas very well. That is one. So speak convincingly about your ability to do the job. That's one of the things that a recruiter is looking out for. One major thing. The second thing is most times your culture fit. Your culture fit. Do you really fit the culture where you're coming into? And how can you achieve this? How can you, because you might not be able to tell the culture of an organization if you are not in it. So the question now is, how do I achieve this? Let me give you a little secret to this. For every correct organization, their core value is a pointer to their culture. For every correct organization, their core value is a pointer to the culture that they want, or appropriately, to put appropriately, that they are practicing in the organization. So what can you do? You're applying into Microsoft, for instance, you're applying into Google, for instance. What can you do if you want to prepare yourself to be a culture fit, or to show that you're a culture fit? Go online. What are the core values of Google? What are the core values of Microsoft? What are the core values of Dangote? Check all of those things. Check those ones that you have. And I'm not saying just cook up stories and lie. No, I'm not saying that. I'm still going to talk about something along that line. Right. Maybe I'll talk about it next. But I'm talking about those aspects of their core values that you actually embody. Right. Speak about it. Let it be in your conversation. Those are things that they look out for. They won't tell you that, most times they won't tell you that, okay, our culture, this is how our culture is. So we want to know if you are fit for it. They won't tell you anything about it. They will just be, they might not even ask you any question in quotes about the culture. They will just be looking at what you are saying. So you are the one that has to push this thing forward after you've made your finding. So next is a recruiter is looking at how truthful you are. This is the second to my last point. A recruiter is looking at how truthful you are, because there is every likelihood that every 9 out of 10 candidates that a recruiter interviews is a yes candidate. And what do I mean by yes candidates? I got that phrase from a movie I saw some years back in school, Three Idiots. It's a Bollywood movie. I believe that if you have seen that movie, just drop it in the chat box. You can unmute and speak. It's a very, very nice movie, Three Idiots. If you've not seen it, I think somebody has unmuted. Have you seen Three Idiots?
Yeah, those three guys.
Okay, awesome. It's a very, very, very nice movie. It's three guys, fantastic guys. I learned something in that movie. When I think Raju, I've forgotten what his name is. I'm not very sure. When he went for an interview, he was lame. He had an issue in school, so he had an issue with his leg. He had an accident, so he was lame. And then he went for the interview, and they were asking him questions and all of that. So there was this particular question that he was asked, and then he answered the question in an unconventional way. He didn't answer it how the usual candidates will answer it, right? And then the interviewer was like, I'm impressed with the way you answered this question, because you didn't respond like everyone, because every candidate turns themselves to a yes candidate so that they can get the job. And that's the simple truth, especially when you are living in a blessed country as Nigeria is. The desperation and everything, we just want to make you say yes to everything. If they say, can you do Excel? You say yes. Can you, even the software you don't know that exists, if they say, can you use the software? You will say yes and everything. So don't be a yes person for the job, right? Be truthful, be wise at this as well. So what do I mean? So for instance, when you're told that, for instance, you're asked, can you use a software you've never used? So for instance, you are an accounting person, and maybe you have been using Peachtree all the while. I believe that's an accounting software, if my memory doesn't fail me. So maybe you have been using Peachtree all the while, and then you're asked, can you use Sage? Maybe you've not used Sage before, but you are very good at Peachtree. What are you going to respond as? Let me make this a bit more interactive. How are you going to respond to that question? You are very good at Peachtree, an accounting software, and they're asking you that, this organization, this is Google, this is like maybe the CHRO of Google speaking to you, and then the person is asking you that, okay, in Google, what we use is Sage. Let's say the person is an Indian person. We use is Sage. I don't have the accent. I wish I did. And what you can use is Peachtree. How are you going to respond to this question? If they ask you that, can you use Sage software? Can you use anybody? I'd love someone who can unmute, but then if you can drop it in the chat box, no problem.
So we all got the question, right? So if you've used any of those software, you can just drop it in the chat box. But the thing is that
So the,
Emmanuel,
so the
most of our
question is,
community
I'm
people
listening.
are okay. Sorry, the thing is that most of our community people are more of data analysts, right? So I don't really think most will have used it before. But
No. I'm not saying that if they have used it. I'm just using that as an
okay,
example, right? Okay.
okay,
So let me bring it to, thank God, thank you for that context. So data analyst. So you are very good with Excel, Microsoft Excel, and then Google is telling you that what they use is Power BI, and you are not very good with Power BI, or maybe you've not even used it before. How would you respond to that question? They're asking you that, can you use Power BI? And you are not good with it. You can't use it. In fact, let me be all straight with you guys. Let me be all out with you guys. So you can't use Power BI at all. What you are very good at is Microsoft Excel. How are you going to respond to that question? Can you use Power BI?
okay. So I
It's
hope
tricky.
everyone got the question. So
Yes.
if you want to speak, can you just raise your hand or you can put it in the chat box. This class is meant to be interactive, everyone, please. You can put it in the chat box or you can raise your hands up or mute you. Well, we've having some questions in the chat box though. I'll ask you later.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
someone
yeah.
else raised.
I'm
Okay,
going to pick
Cynthia.
them up.
Okay, Cynthia has a. Cynthia, I'll make you a speaker. Cynthia and Adeshola. Okay, so I'm coming. So Cynthia, you can unmute yourself. Also Adeshola, you can also unmute yourself. So Cynthia, you're going first.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Hello, Cynthia.
Yeah,
Good
hello,
Good
evening,
can you?
evening.
Cynthia.
Yeah, okay. If I went for an interview and they're using an accounting software I've not used before, and they asked me if I can use this software. Okay, I may tell them yes, but you just said yes factor is we shouldn't lie. So if I was to answer them another way, I would say, okay, I've used two different accounting softwares before and I'm perfect in using them. So this new one should not be hard and I'll learn fast. That's what I'll say.
Awesome. Great. That's a very good answer, and that would be what I would say as well. And there's another addition that you can. There's a little twist to that answer that would even stand you out. Somebody dropped as well. Fanny said, "I will tell the recruiter no, but I am a fast learner that will be able to learn it as soon as possible." Nice. Abiodun also mentioned, "I'll let them know I'm open to learning, and let them know I can't use
Okay.
the app." Nice. You guys have. I think somebody wants to say something.
Okay, so Adeshola, you can unmute yourself also and speak. Adeshola, is still
Okay,
there? Okay.
good evening.
Yeah,
Okay,
good evening.
okay. I think everybody, people have said much about it. I will actually say that um, I can't use this new software they are talking about, but I've been able to use the Peachtree software, and then I will now tell them the things I've been able to do using the Peachtree software accounting. That okay, so and in Peachtree accounting, I learned that it's like this, and this is. So I'll drag the conversation to what the things I could do on Peachtree, the things I'm very good at
Awesome.
on it, and then
Awesome.
I'm very open to learning. I can learn very fast.
Awesome. Great. You guys have answered so well. So, first rule of thumb, be honest about the fact that you can't use it. Secondly, identify the fact that there is actually an accounting or a data analysis software that you are very good at that you can use. And mention, like Adesola mentioned, that okay, there are these aspects. For instance, okay, like let me talk about HR for instance. So let's say for instance you are using Bamboo HR and there's another software. You can say the Bamboo HR can do recruitment. This is how it works on Bamboo HR. This is how this and this works on Bamboo HR and all of that. So mention those things that you can do with the other software, because most likely, in fact, typically the processes are the same across the board, right? It's just maybe the UX, the UI that are different, or maybe some just a few things. But the processes should at least be 60, 70, 80% similar across the board, across various software. Right. So mention the fact that okay, I can't use this, but there is this one I'm very good at, and it won't, because I'm very good at this, it won't be easy for me to learn this other one, right? And if in fact you can even take it a step further that in fact there was there was we recently started using this particular software in an organization. I'd not used it before, but within a couple of weeks, I was able to learn it, and I was good at it. Blah 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 blah. Like I said earlier on, it should be the truth, shall. If you didn't learn anything, don't say. But then if there was an incident like that, mention it. Sell yourself. Don't let anything throw you off balance. If anything should throw you off balance at all, don't let it throw you off balance for too long, right? Because it will most likely dampen your confidence, and even things that you are good at, you might not even be able to express yourself very well if your confidence has been dampened. So next, which will be the last thing I'll talk about, is another thing that a recruiter would most likely be looking out during the conversation and interview conversation with you, is your interpersonal skills. Essentially, what's your emotional quotient level like? How do you understand your personality type? Do you understand that people are different? Do you understand that people think differently? Do you understand that people have different personality types? Do you understand that this affects work? How do you use this understanding to manage work relationships and all of that? Are you someone who is collaborative? Are you someone who wants to always take the glory? They won't ask a smart recruiter won't ask you this question, because they will obviously know that you say, if they ask you now that, are you someone who is who likes conflict, you will most likely say no, right? But the facts might be that you are someone who is actually, you have fire on your head, right? But then of course you won't want to say that, because of course that would reduce your chance of being selected, right? So you most likely just say no and blah blah blah. But then a smart recruiter would ask certain questions that would fish out this thing. So these are things that you should watch out for. And because you also don't want to lie, it's advisable that you start working on these things, right? What's your interpersonal skills like? You definitely must have had feedback from people. If 2, 3, 4, 5 people, if 1, 2, 3, 4 companies that you've worked with, you are getting the same feedback, those are things that you should work on. It's not that people hate you. I think those are things that you should actually sit down with yourself and do a cross-examination, right? So these are things that you check out for: interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. These are things that what recruiters want to know, right? Communication. How well can you speak? How well can you speak? These are things that we can build, right? Because you might know so many things, but your ability to convince the recruiter that you know these things is top notch, right? Because the recruiter, the interviewer, the hiring manager is not in your head. The person has not walked through life with you to know that you actually know all of these things, or you are able to maybe carry out the tasks that he or she wants you to carry out. So how do you sell yourself? How do you speak? Your tenses, your concord, the agreement of things as minute as this, right? I have there's this bias, right? There might be a concept for it. This is my final point, my closing words for now. There might be a concept for it, but I'm not very sure yet. That there's this bias that people have, that you can't communicate very well, they feel that you're not intelligent. It's not a correct assumption, but it's a real bias, it's a reality. In fact, some of us that were on this call now we would attest to the fact. It's not right. I'm not saying it's right, but as human beings, you just say, this person that cannot speak English. There's this way you just tie it to intelligence level. It's wrong, but then the reality is that it happens. We have that bias as human beings. So why do you want to throw yourself paint yourself or become a victim of that bias when you can actually improve your communication, right? Not every recruiter knows that your inability to probably speak English very well doesn't mean that you are not intelligent, doesn't mean that you are not able to do the job, right? So not every recruiter knows that. Not every hiring manager knows that. Not every member of management knows that. So these are things that we should work on, right? So I think I should stop here for now, and we dive into questions and
Okay. Okay. Awesome. 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 Um, You said something that really struck like it very well in terms of communication, right? So I've seen people that they don't really like talking, but whatever they do with their hands, they do magic with it. But they don't
Mm,
speak. Why you will find out like, oh, I don't know did this, but you don't look like the person. So
mm.
that's very true. So this question goes to success. So success, I see there. Right, success.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay,
Thanks for the
so
amazing
so
section.
so-
I'm with you.
okay, yeah. Okay, someone's asking, what achievements are applicable, for instance, if you haven't manned such position or role before?
So I believe is at some point in the person's life, or depending asking the question, I believe there are roles, or there are some certain thing that the person might have done before. All right. So the person should project it. It should be in line with the job that the person is applying for. All right. So the person should
Okay,
project it and make it come to limelight. So
okay,
recruiters will see it as an achievement for you. Okay. So
okay,
same goes with your CV. If you doesn't have any experience, why not project the one you have? Let's see it. So don't just leave it empty just like that. So you get the gist now. So project the one you have. All right. So let's see it and know that this is where you are. And from there, we know that this is where we are getting to. So, as my colleague said, with all sincerity, so we won't kill you and nobody will judge you. All right. We need you to be more original and truthful as possible. You get, so there's no point lying if you don't have it. So project the one you have. I believe at some point in your life you've handled or anchored the leadership position before and another position. So just include the one you have. So make sure it's there and you highlight it. So that is just all.
awesome. Okay, someone also has in the chat box. So this is also for you, success. So the person is that's funny. He said that, okay, I have a question for this first speaker. You talked about proximity, right? That's proximity to
Yes.
office of location as part of the things recruiters look for. So the person says that I applied for a data analyst role, and the recruiter told me they need someone that stays close to Lekki, whereas I stay at K2, Lagos. I was also sent an invite and also an interview address to be scheduled tomorrow. I try to prepare, but the proximity issue keeps ringing in my head because I feel like I'm just wasting my time going for the interview, why I might not be selected because of location. Do you have any advice? Will you advise me to go for the interview, or I should just stay at home? So, what do you think?
Okay. I think some recruiters majorly so have a boss who does not recruit if the person's location is far from the office. That's just a criteria. So I will advise you look for a job that is close to your location and apply for it. You know why? Because some of us believe that if you are living far, before you could get to work, you're already famished and you won't be able to deliver. So if this thing
Yeah,
continue,
yeah.
so consider this thing and consider your transportation too. So these are the major things why we consider that or why we think that your location is key. All right.
Yeah.
So I believe I
Okay.
don't know whether if I've answered your question. So the person asking this question particularly.
So far
So
you've
trust.
answered. Okay. Okay, so I think Cynthia is up. Cynthia, do you want to speak? You can meet yourself. I think you're a presenter or something. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello.
Hello, Cynthia.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I have a question. Okay, what would you advise for someone that probably has a communication challenge or is not very comfortable when he or she has people looking at the person? So you may have a lot to say in your brain, in your mind, but when you're in front of a panel, just forget everything. You know, do you have any advice?
Okay. So, Emmanuel, will you want to take that?
Okay, so because this is a tailor specific question, I will just pick out one or two responses. I would I would be praying silently in my heart that it applies, right? Because we don't know what's exactly the issue is, right? But then I think one of the things could be okay, as a rule of thumb, I've discovered that if you are if you have a very good self-esteem, to communicate will not be hard for you. In fact, most times you always even want to talk. If you have a good self-esteem, most times you always want to. Most times when you are in a gathering, and you have people speaking, of course, not every time it's coming from a place of insecurity, right? But then if you have a very good self-esteem, you wouldn't be afraid to speak. So the question now is, how do you build your self-esteem? One of the ways that I've discovered that you can build your self-esteem is to think a lot about your achievements, think a lot about your competences, think a lot about your strength. It's just what you see in the outside most times is a product of what is or what has gone through, what is going through, or what has gone through your mind. So when you think about your failures, there's no how when you are thinking about your failure, you'll be bold to do things, right? And it's less likely that when you are thinking a lot about your success, when you're thinking a lot about your strength, you will be shy or you'll be laid back. It's not likely. So one way to build your communication skill or your boldness is to have a very good self-esteem. And I mentioned that one way to have a good self-esteem is to think very well, think a lot about your strength, think a lot about your successes, your accomplishments. That's one. So I've talked about the place of self-esteem. Two, it could also be just normal grammar issues. The person doesn't know how to speak normal English. There might be many things in your head, but if you're not very confident of your grammatical prowess, you'll most likely be shy, you most likely be laid back and all of that when they're having conversations. So you can work on this. If that's the case, work on it. The person should work on it, because like I've mentioned, it's only a few people that would maybe go with what they've seen you do, especially now that we're in a world where many things are virtual. You can't blame recruiters if they don't just want to believe you based on maybe the website that you said you built. It's very hard for me as a recruiter to just believe you because you showed me that this is your website. I want you to walk me through how you built it and all of that. So communication is very, very important. Very, very important. You might want to apply for a data analyst job in the US and you're in Nigeria. You can't just say that, oh, this is my portfolio, they should just check it. You might be that you stolen it from somebody, or maybe somebody gave you to just use and you are not the one that did. So they want you to speak and express and convince them. So I don't believe there's anybody that can't build his or her communication skills. I don't believe there's anybody like that. So if you can speak, please, by all means, build your communication skill. And so these are the two possible reasons that's coming to my head. I don't know if you're able to give context or if I've touched it miraculously. Can let me know.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, since I was able to, did it help? Was it helpful enough?
It helped. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, for me, I also had issues with communication then, so I started taking courses and I went for seminars. I started doing more of public speaking and everything. So
Awesome.
that also helped. It's also helped. So, and that's cool. Okay. I know
So,
most people
sorry.
here are Okay, sorry, you want to say something? Sorry.
Okay, yes. To add to what you guys just said, I think she should look for a mentor who is into public speaking. All right, look for a mentor who goes with the person. Like when I mean mentor, I mean someone that your ideology resonates with the person, or someone that his ideology or her ideology resonates with you. Someone that is doing something in line with your career or what you're doing. All right, get close to the person. Learn from the person, ask the person to coach and mentor you. All right. Then I think that's what you should do.
Awesome. Nice. Thank you so much. Nice.
Beautiful. Thanks for that success. Okay, this one now is for. Look, I know most people here are data analysts, right? So this question people ask me a lot. So thank God you HRs are yes. I'll ask because people always ask me to mentor. So I used to I'll ship them. So this is for both success and Emmanuel, right? People used to ask me which is more important, certificate or skill. So any of you, what's your help out?
Skill any day, anytime. Skill any day, anytime. And I'll give my reasons.
Okay.
There is every 95% chance that someone who is hiring you is not hiring you because of your certificate, right? In fact, if you check your typical job advert, the certificate requirements will just be like maybe 3, 4. What takes the bulk of what they're asking for is your ability to do certain stuff, your ability to use certain software, your ability to carry out certain tasks. So ability, skills, any day, anytime above certifications. But certification is just like an added advantage, right? It's an added advantage. So I'm not entirely throwing it away, but I'm just saying that you should focus more on acquiring relevant skills compared to certifications. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get certifications. Please do by all means, because at this stage, at this current economy state and current the realities around the business world, you want to stand out as much as you can, right? So ensure that you are beefed up in all areas. But like I said earlier, I advise that you go, because another reason is certifications are, at least not all certifications, but many certifications are easy to get now. There are some, like there was a speaking engagement I was invited to for, I mean, I think last month or 2 months before now. And then the person asked me this same question, was a question along the line. And then I gave this scenario that it was a story I heard that somebody was taking a course, a video course. I think I'm not sure the site, maybe Udemy or LinkedIn. So the sibling was not, the person left the course, the video course will be playing. The sibling was now asking him or her, I've forgotten the gender now, that are you not meant to be taking this course that you are playing? You're not concentrating, you're doing something. The person has, well, just leave it. It's just the certificates that I'm interested in. Just leave so the knowledge that you are meant to, because certifications are to certify that you have a particular knowledge or an expertise. So the real thing that you're even meant to certify, you're not even getting it. So, and if we ask in this chat room now, there will be at least 1 or 2 people that we are guilty of this. I think I've been guilty at a point too, actually. That you just did the course, you didn't even concentrate, you just wanted to finish the course and all of that. So that is why your average recruiter will want to actually know that you're able to do the skills and your ability over the certifications. But like I've said, certifications are also important.
Okay. Success. What's your opinion?
I think skill, like Simon just said, I think skill is more likely, like is expected, that because if you look at the hierarchy, and okay, let's say we are drawing a chart, because certification can be acquired while you are sorry so certification can be acquired while you are going for knowledge. All right, so while going for knowledge, you acquire certification. So even if you are going for a skill, you still acquire knowledge. But when you're looking at your ability to deliver, you go for skill. You get, so skill is much more important than certification. We get it just now.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
is it.
Okay. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to ask questions that I think people over here will want to ask you, but they don't. Maybe they might be shy not to ask. Another one is also, what do you think about the need of having a portfolio? If you want to go into tech, what do you think the need? What's the importance of having a digital portfolio, either Google portfolio or GitHub or any portfolio? What do you think? What do you think is the importance of having a portfolio? So anyone?
So I think the importance of having a portfolio is that it gives you visibility, right? So it gives you visibility, and it's more easier for you to send it out anytime they ask of it. So it's build, you build it and make it ready. So when anybody asks of you, so you could can ask of it, any opportunity comes up. So give me your portfolio, or can I see your portfolio? So likely just send it to the person sharp. All right. So it gives you more visibility. So imagine that we now not having a LinkedIn portfolio. You get it just now. So it gives you visibility. So it helps you leverage on it to access so many opportunities. So it makes you visible to several people, several things. That's in line with your career trajectory. So it's good you build on it. So
Okay,
you build
awesome.
Okay, so let me add 2 things. Thank you so much for that point. It's very important. Success. 2 more things. First, credibility. Second, storytelling.
So credibility in the sense that if you say I've done XYZ, it would be nice if you have a portfolio to back that claim up. That okay, I've done XYZ. This is it. This is that. These are the clients I've worked for. This is what these are things I did for them and all of that. Having a portfolio provides credibility to that. That's one. Second, storytelling. It is easier to tell your story when you have a portfolio to guide you compared to saying it from the top of your head, right? So we have a portfolio. You can just tell the story. Okay, this is what I've done this year, 2016. This is what I did 2017. This is what I did within the space of 3-4 years. Blah 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 blah. It helps your storytelling to be more detailed and to follow an accurate pattern. Yeah. So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I also want to add to that, right? So for portfolios, it's very, very important. I tell people every time, if anyone wants to ask me how will I go into tech or break into tech, I tell them have a portfolio. Like I give them this the story of the way I got my current job, right? I think I didn't have that much certificate, right? But the only thing that blew my boss out was just my portfolio. And when I sent him the application, before he even got to meet me, because he was already excited, he was already mailing me that, oh, he can't wait to meet me. He can't. And when we actually met each other, I was like, so you did. The interview was based now on purely my portfolio. Now it moved from them looking at my CV to now the interview was now more on how did I do this my portfolio? Explain this step, explain that. So I tell people that portfolio is very, very important. So I thank God that success and money also nailed it also that it's very important. So we're ending very soon. So the question I just want to ask now for is both Emmanuel and success. I'll start with success first. So success, can you tell us how you started your HR journey, and also for some of you that might want to go into the field of HR, like what advice you have for them?
All right, let me start from asking how I started my HR journey. Okay, so I will tell you guys, or those that are passionate about HR, what to also look at for. All right, so HR is best done in an HR consulting firm. So that is where you get to learn most of the things. You see them recruiting, you see them consulting, you see them working on CVs, revamping CVs, you see them doing a whole lot of things because their activities encompasses of all the HR activities that they do. Okay, so my career journey as a HR started. So beyond passion now, passion, it started by me. I think I have a mentor, Pascal Lee. So if you are on LinkedIn, you know him too well, Pascal Lee. So he basically run HR consulting firm in Lagos. So it started by I think the friend linked me to him. So beyond the passion, so another question he asked me is why do I want to go into HR? So you must also know your why. All right. So you should be strong enough. So beyond you are a human person or you love human, you want to help people. No, like so you must answer. So I think another thing is question of clarity should be your first guide. You should be the first that should pop into your mind. So you get it just now. So when you are able to answer why you want to become a HR or start a career in HR, then another thing is to go to HR consulting firm where these activities are being carried out. That's where you will learn more. So I wouldn't even so you can go there in 10. So I wouldn't even advise you to take up a role as HR assistant because you wouldn't learn much there. So there are basic things that is required for you to learn. So you learn this in any HR consulting firm, not even as HR assistant. So I wouldn't even advise you to start taking up HR courses. No, because you'll be limited in some aspect, although it's good, but the experience that are required will knock you off. So my career process, I started from me going to Lagos through recruitment service. So that is our consulting industry. So that's where I started as a CV writer, right? So he trained me as a CV writer. So I started knowing how to revamp CV, how to review CV from there, how to revamp CV. It took me almost 8 months. Yeah, because he said it's the basic. Or no, it's not a HR job description, so it's not part of it, but it's necessary. It's required that a HR personnel should know how to review and revamp CV. It's necessary. So during recruitment, you can differentiate between the CV that is ACS compliant and well tailored and professional from. So he started by from there. So as I was even working on it, I was learning the whole recruitment process. He was putting me through. So I was seeing this thing more like a practical stuff. All right. So I wouldn't advise anybody to go and jump on, start taking courses. No. So from there, I graduated to recruitment. Started teaching me how recruitment works, how to recruit, how to use ATS. So gradually, I started taking courses. So after doing the practical aspect, that was when I even started taking courses. All right. So these courses could be to just to validate that I have this experience. But then I've already acquired all these things. So the basic fundamental is if you are passionate about HR, the first thing you should do, even so you can be even you can even be multitasking while doing both of them alongside. So you can still look out for HR consulting firm where you will do your intern and still take basic HR courses. You get from there you progress. So but the only thing I can advise someone that have passion or want to pursue his career in HR is to look out for HR consulting firm to intern because most of the activities that is being done or carried out, that is where it's being expressed. So you will get to see everything. So so that it won't be limited. So there's no need cutting across or going for HR assistant or no. I think that's not the best advice I can give to a person. So go for HR consulting firm. So that's where you can get the best of the knowledge as a startup.
Okay, so for me, I got to know about HR about 9 years ago, right? So I did a course on HR about 9 years ago, and that was like my first introduction to HR. I didn't know nothing about HR. I didn't know there was people that did anything like HR and all of that. So that was my first introduction to HR, and I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting." And I started learning about HR from then. I was in school then, so I started learning about HR. Started reading. Maybe took one or two courses, not very sure, but I knew I read. There was this particular textbook I read by Michael Armstrong, Principles of HR. I think that's the title. If you want to start a career in HR, I advise you to read that book. It's a very good book. So I read that book. Plenty it was voluminous, but I read it. I read some other books, started making findings about HR, saw documentaries and everything about HR. So when I was done with before finishing school, because I'm not trying to sound cliche or religious, but I'm someone who God has been like a major God is not has been or like God is a major factor in my life. So I prayed about it and I got it leading to focus on HR, at least for the now. I might go into something later, maybe tech, because there's money in tech. But yeah, I prayed about it, and God led me to go into HR. Like I said, I'd made my findings about it, so it's not as though I just had one mystical voice and I didn't know anything, right? So there's the God part, there's my part, right? So I made my findings. So when I was done with school, when I was done with school, I did like a freelancing gig on HR before I worked like a full-time staff in the consulting space. Right. And yeah, from there, I had a brief stint at an edtech to where I am currently. Right. And I think one of the things that helped me as well was I had a community that I joined. I had a mentor that really helped me, introduced me to WhatsApp communities and all of that. I was able to know about courses, all of these courses, like this kind of course that you guys organized. By the way, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for what you guys are doing. I
Oh, thank you very
presume
much.
I presume this is maybe free or maybe at a discounted rate. Like
It's free.
your
It's free. It's
community
free.
is
It's free.
awesome. So this is awesome, right? So this is like a major thing that has helped my career trajectory to date, right? So well done, you guys. So it helped me as well. So to where I am today, thank God for people, thank God for mentors, thank God for light. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Oh, thank Success and Emmanuel, thank you very, very much. Yeah, you guys just note everything, right? You say we're way behind, but way past time now. And also, I want to also made mention what Emmanuel said. Emmanuel said something about community. So community is very, very important. Whatever industry you go to, I would advise always join a community. I know how many people have actually sent job invite from the community and they message me, oh, they got the job. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank God I was in this community and stuff like that. Even my current job, I actually got to know about it from some data community I'm also inside. So that's one thing I'll say. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. So I want to say thank you, Success and
So
Manuel for
lastly,
honoring our.
sorry,
Okay, okay,
I want to ask
okay.
out to sorry, please, if you want to pursue.
Yes, Success, you've broken.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I could. So for anyone that want to pursue a career in HR, please get a mentor. I think I failed to mention, like Emmanuel mentioned, get a mentor. Get a mentor that is into HR. Get a mentor that is result oriented. Get a seasoned mentor. All right. Get a mentor. Follow the person bomber to bomber. Get a mentor that has results. That is value oriented. To show the person that you are passionate about this thing. All right. So I pray you get a good mentor, and I also pray that the mentor you will get is open and like-minded to just support you in any way you can to get your career seen. All right, thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm dropping both Success and Emmanuel's LinkedIn on the chat box. So if you want to connect with them, if I'm allowed to do that. Sorry, I didn't ask. If I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah,
By
please
all
share.
means, by all means.
Okay, okay, thank you. And also awesome session, guys. Awesome session.
No, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So by 6 o'clock, that's in an hour's time, we're having another section for Power BI. So the topic is called My Process in Delivering an Awesome Dashboard and Report. So I've dropped the link for some of you that might be interested in Power BI. You can join us. It's an 1 hour section. We're having a very special guest also take us on how she built awesome dashboard using Power BI. So I've dropped both Emmanuel's and Success LinkedIn contacts. So you guys can connect with them and ask them questions. So thank you guys. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
The
Okay.
pleasure.
Amazing
Thank you so
section.
much.